Will the House come to order? Item 1, roll call. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Ayu, Mr. Alcos, Ms. Amato, Ms. Bellotti, Mr. Chun, Ms. Cochran, Mr. Evslin, Mr. Ganadin,
Excuse.
Mr. Garcia, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Gates, Mr. Hashem, Mr. Holt, Ms. Hussey Burdick, Ms. Ichiyama, Ms. Kahaloa, Ms. Capella,
Excuse.
Mr. Kila, Ms. Kitagawa, Mr. Kobayashi, Mr. Kong, Ms. Lachika,
Excuse.
Ms. Lamosal, Ms. Lowen, Ms. Martin, Ms. Martinez, Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto, Mr. Miyake, Ms. Mizuno, Ms. Morikawa, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Nakashima,
Excuse.
Mr. Nishimoto,
Excuse.
Mr. Onishi, Ms. Peruso, Mr. Pirik, Ms. Poepoe, Mr. Quinlan, Mr. Saiki, Mr. Sayama,
Excuse.
Ms. Souza, Mr. Takayama, Ms. Takenouchi, Mr. Tam,
Excuse.
Mr. Tarnas, Mr. Todd, Mr. Ward, Mr. Woodson, Mr. Yamashita, Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, 44 members are present, 7 are excused.
Thank you. Item 2, reading of the journal. Representative Marcalo.
Mr. Speaker, may this matter be deferred.
So ordered. Item 3, Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the governor?
Mr. Speaker, there are none.
Item 4, Mr. Clerk, are there any Senate communications?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are in receipt of a communication returning the noted House bill having passed third reading in the Senate.
Members, introductions. All right, let's move on to the order of the day. Item 5, floor presentations. Mr. Clerk, are there any floor presentations?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we have one floor presentation today. House Resolution Number 223, congratulating Central Pacific Bank on its 70th anniversary. This resolution is offered by Representative Quinlan.
Representative Quinlan.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Representative Holt.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. Any discussion, Representative Quinlan?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand in strong support of the resolution. On February 15th, 1954, Central Pacific Bank began operations on the principle of building a better Hawaii, driven by a commitment to foster economic growth and support local communities. It was established by a cohort of esteemed World War II Nisei veterans who valiantly served in the legendary 442nd Regimental Combat Team, 100th Infantry Battalion, and Military Intelligence Service. After returning home from the war and experiencing discrimination, these young Nisei veterans began meeting regularly under the banyan trees of Ala Moana Beach Park to pursue their vision of creating a bank that would serve all of Hawaii's people. Mr. Speaker, I now yield my time to the representative from Hilo.
Representative Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, in support. I just wanted to call some special attention and recognition to Arnold Martinez, who back in 2022 was named the new CEO and also serves as president. But I think beyond that, I'm not sure how many folks are familiar with the area of Pa'oilo, but it's quite small. It's a very small town. It's about halfway between Lapuhoihoi and Honoka'a, which are two other small towns. There's about 500 folks that live there, and I think it's pretty inspiring to the folks who are in that area and who also kind of grew up with Arnold in the area and who are graduates of Honoka'a High School. That we have someone who's really worked their way from the bottom up and ascended this way. I think, especially in that area, which really over the last few decades has struggled to deal with the collapse of the plantation system, it's a very inspiring thing to see someone come out of that and really find their way up in this position and do a lot of good in this capacity also. And just on a personal note, over the last few years, it's been really good to get to know you, and you've always been a very positive voice of reason in some uncertain times. But I'd just like to yield the rest of my time to the rep from Palama.
Representative Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For 7 decades, Central Pacific Bank has served as a pillar of financial stability and property in the state of Hawaii, providing essential banking services, promoting small businesses, and empowering countless individuals to achieve their homeownership and wealth management goals. Through strategic partnerships with local organizations and businesses, they have played a vital role in fueling community development, educational initiatives, and cultural programs that have enriched the lives of residents throughout the state. Dedicated to environmental sustainability, Central Pacific Bank has inspired positive change, promoting renewable energy solutions and responsible resource management. They have truly set a great benchmark for corporate environmental stewardship. If you may stand when I call your name, members, please hold your applause till the end. Joining us today, representing Central Pacific Bank, our President and CEO, Arnold Martinez. Business Client Service Center, Joanne Lim. From the Kaneohe branch, we have Kalehua Zurumeister. From the main branch, we have Oliver Rodriguez. And from Home Loans, we have Devon Sianco. Members, please join me in honoring Central Pacific Bank on their 70th anniversary.
Our members will be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Motion is carried. Representative Quinlan, please proceed with the certificate and lay presentation. After. The chair will call a recess to allow the members of the House to meet and congratulate the honorees. Recess. Will the House come to order? Members, we are on item 6, reports of standing committees. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Report numbers 1389-24 through 1444-24 as listed on pages 2 through 17, and that the accompanying House resolutions and House concurrent resolutions, as may be amended, be referred to their designated committees.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Members, any discussion on STANCOM report 1389-24 and 1390-24 in tandem? 1391, and next page 1392 in tandem. 1393 and 1394. 1395, next page, 1396. 1397. Representative Pirk.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. 1398. Representative Amato.
No vote.
So ordered. 1399. Representative Hussey Burdick.
No vote, brief comment.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The private property that benefits from this resolution was last purchased in 2021 for over $1.5 million. And the text of this resolution almost urges the legislature not to pass it. Whereas the boat ramp and concrete wall were constructed seaward of the private property record boundary without prior authorization, and a portion of the boat ramp and concrete wall previously located on private property is now seaward of the current shoreline on state submerged lands. It warns of rising sea levels and states, whereas the practice of issuing easements to private landowners for state submerged lands on a case-by-case basis is not prudent as a long-term strategy when considered in relation to the public trust doctrine and the context of planning for landscape scale adaptation and retreat. This resolution also states that the private property owner, a trust, has even executed a removal bond agreement to insure the state of Hawaii against the cost of removing the encroachments in the event that the legislature and the governor do not approve this resolution. Unlike the previous resolution, HCR 9, there is no public benefit to this measure. I have taken an oath to uphold the public trust, and as such, I have a fiduciary duty to oppose the passage of a measure that would exclusively benefit private interests at the expense of our public trust beaches. Thank you.
Representative Peruso.
In opposition, brief comment.
Proceed.
I appreciate the work of the Vice Chair of Water and Land on this measure and the following 4 measures to limit the term of these easements, but I am deeply concerned about this pattern and that we continue to pursue year after year, and I am hopeful that in the near future this body can develop legislation that develops a more holistic approach to these questions.
All right, members, next page, 1400. Representative Hussey Burdick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote. Another brief comment.
Proceed.
The private property that benefits from this resolution was last purchased in 2011 for over $13 million. And again, the text of this resolution almost urges the legislature not to pass it. This revetment was approved in 1964 and is now being swallowed by the ocean. It is time we stop approving seawalls and hardening to benefit wealthy private landowners at the cost of our public trust beaches.
Representative Peruso.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Amato. No vote. So ordered. 1401. Representative Hussey Burdick.
No vote, brief comment.
Proceed.
The private property that benefits from this resolution was last purchased in 2021 for almost $2 million. And again, the text of this resolution almost urges the legislature not to pass it. These private landowners have also executed a removal bond agreement to insure the state against the cost of removing the encroachment in the event that the legislature and the governor do not pass this resolution. It's time we send a message to private property owners that the shoreline property they purchased during our housing crisis is not going to get bailed out by the legislature when they apply for continued easements to protect their damaged assets. Thank you.
Representative Caruso.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
No vote.
So ordered. 1402. Representative Hussey Burdick.
No vote. Brief comment.
Proceed.
The private property that benefits from this resolution was last purchased in 2017 for almost $1.3 million. And again, the text of this resolution almost urges the legislatures not to pass it. These private trustee landowners have also executed a removal bond to insure the state against the cost of removing the encroachment in the event that we do not pass this resolution. Mr. Speaker, there's a growing body of scientific literature since the 1980s that demonstrate how seawalls and shoreline hardening negatively impacts nearby beaches. This is one of the reasons why the legislature codified HRS Chapter 171-53, requiring the legislature to approve any lease of new submerged state lands via concurrent resolutions like this. Thank you.
Representative Hussey Burdick, would you like to file your remarks for 1403 and 1404 as well?
No, thank you.
Representative Caruso.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page, 1403. Representative Hussey Burdick. Representative Hussey Burdick.
No vote. And my brief comment this time is that this is a slew of private property owners who have a whole apartment building that benefits from the privatization of our public beaches. Thank you.
Representative Caruso.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
No vote for 03 and 04, please.
So ordered. Representative Cochran.
Thank you. And as much as I detest seawalls, this particular one, I've had the opportunity to go to the landowners, and it's something that the Ma'alai Harbor, in favor. Ma'alai Harbor, after it was built, had exacerbated the erosion of the shoreline. These condos were built, they had to basically put these up, and we can't cry over spilt milk, but they're being so undermined. And the sections that were removed, it just continues to get more eroded. I hate to say at this point, these seawalls are needed to keep the land in place. And so yeah, I'm in support, and I've walked the whole entire shoreline with them just like last week and saw the devastation. Thank you.
1404. Representative Hussey Burdick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote.
So ordered. Representative Caruso.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
No vote.
So ordered. 1405 and 1406. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Reservation.
So ordered. Next page. 1407 and 1408. 1409. 1410, next page, and 1411, Representative Garcia.
1410, Mr. Speaker, no vote.
So ordered. Representative Perry.
No vote.
So ordered. 1412 and 1413, Representative Garcia.
Just to clarify, my no vote was on 1410 and 14111, and I'm also voting no on 1412 and 1413.
So ordered. Representative Perry.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page, 1414, 1415, 1416, and 1417. Next page, 1418 and 1419, 1420 and 1421. Representative Martin.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Caruso.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Hasiberde.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Poi Poi.
Reservations.
So ordered. Next page. 1422 and 1423, Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Perrick.
No vote.
So ordered. 1424 and 1425, Representative Perrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page. 1426 and 1427. 1428, next page, and 1429. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. 1430, 1431, and 1432. Representative Amato.
At the appropriate time, may we go back to 1430, please?
Go on.
Reservations.
So ordered. 1431 and 1432. Next page. 1433 and 1434.
Speaker.
Representative Ward.
No with a yes if it was changed a bit. The point is, Mr. Speaker, it's not
In
fair.
opposition.
Yet in opposition, but look, the Palestinians need help, but this is a lopsided version of what should be our position on the Middle East, not just one-sided. Almost like last week's, if you're a right-wing Republican, you're the bad guy, and this says if you're Israeli, by implication, you're the bad guy. My point is that when we do these resolutions, they should be fair and they should be balanced. Otherwise, we're taking a political side on what otherwise is a multi-billion-dollar, multiple thousands of people's lives at stake, and we're only on one side. And one of the things that this reso forgets or omits purposely is that they never mention the October 7 attack, where raping and pillaging of the Israeli people were done. It doesn't mention a bloody second about that. Other than the Holocaust, this is the worst attack on the Jewish people since their existence. And now we're going to say, and by the way, I used to work for USAID. I was a presidential appointee at USAID in the Bush administration. I know what we've done with the Palestinians and the Jews. We've given $1 billion every year, almost for decades. But what did the Palestinians do with the money like we're calling for here? The Palestinians built hundreds of miles of tunnels underneath their land in Gaza instead of giving it to the people and their education and their training. So when we have a reso saying, oh my God, so sorry about the Palestinians, what about the Jewish people that is not mentioned in this? Because of those things, Mr. Speaker, we have to be fair and balanced. This is one of those lopsided things, just like last week, that besmirches a particular view of life as conservatives. And this leaving out the Jews is like forgetting that there's another people in another country that is one of our biggest allies in the Middle East for democracy and for the future of that area. For those reasons, Mr. Speaker, I wish we could amend these kind of things to make them a bit more balanced. Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Perry.
No vote.
So ordered. 1435. Next page. 1436. 1437 and 1438. Representative Perry.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
Same request.
So ordered. Next page. 1439 and 1440. 1441. 1442. Next page. 1443 and 1444. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Same request.
So ordered. Members will be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Report numbers 1445-24 through 1457-24 is listed on pages 17 through 21, and that the accompanying House resolutions and House concurrent resolutions as may be amended be adopted.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Members, any discussion on STANCOM report 1445, 1446, next page, 1447 and 1448? Representative Peruso.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Hasiberdic.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Poi Poi.
Reservations.
So ordered. 1449, next page, and 1450. Representative Quinlan.
In opposition, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I love Taiwan. My mother grew up there. Most members of my family attended the Taipei American School, and I still have a lot of family members that live there today. It's a place that holds a special place in my heart. However, Mr. Speaker, I really worry about these types of resolutions. We have a federal government, we have a State Department, and I think that we should try and leave these matters to them and focus on the problems that we have here in Hawaii. And I think my microphone has gone bad again. Thank you.
Representative Ward.
Speaker, in strong support.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, the biggest threat to the Pacific, which will make Pearl Harbor look like a cakewalk, is the invasion of Taiwan by Xi Jinping. No one is sure when it's going to happen, but there's speculation that before, not after 2027, that's 3 short years from now. To have a reso that says, as the American policy is to be close or closer to Taiwan, I think is commonsensical. All of you know I'm a graduate of the Swiss Center, so international relations has been a key part of my existence in addition to the Peace Corps and working with the United Nations. So knowing that when the diplomats stop talking, the bullets start flying, and this is part of what the diplomats do. They say, you know, let's have gestures of cooperation, etc. So, Mr. Speaker, until we are foisted upon this suddenly like a shock in the night, this is something that says, hey, Hawaii, wake up, because if the Pacific is caught up with the invasion of Taiwan, Japan is going to jump in, South Korea is going to jump in, the US is going to jump in. The whole of Pacific will be blown to hell. Hopefully Xi Jinping is more civilized in his treatment of his brothers and sisters in Taiwan. But because Taiwan has been kind of a third-class citizen by the world so far, this is something that will encourage them. This is something that will say, we got your back. And we've got a treaty that says that. So this is in consistent State Department lexicon. And because we are the closest to Taiwan, we are probably the more influential, if you will, in saying, hey, we're with you, Taiwan. And I know the Chinese population here, as the good representative from the North Shore said, he has blood relatives that are related to this. But this is a macro-political, this is more Third, Fourth, Fifth World War kind of seriousness. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I would hope this would send a message to Xi Jinping saying, don't play around with the Taiwanese, don't blow up the Pacific, your economy will be killed, your credibility like Putin will be lowered, and everything that you want to do because of your strong economy and military, you will be a pariah in the Pacific. Mr. Speaker, this is a good gesture to send a shot to Xi Jinping, not only saying we love you, Taiwan, but to tell Xi Jinping, let's cool it, let's not blow up the Pacific, because if it happens, this place in our budget is going to go to hell in a handbasket. We think we're prospering with tourism. Wait till this happens before 2027 or in 2027. We will be crying that, oh my God, we didn't know it was happening. Well, this is a warning that it's going to possibly happen, and we should be prepared. For those reasons, Mr. Speaker, this is a very good reminder of the state of the art and the danger that we have being in the middle of the Pacific. Thank you.
Representative Quinlan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Still in opposition, and I'd just like to adopt the words of the representative for the Hollywood of the Pacific.
So ordered. 1451 and 1452. Representative Pyrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page. 1453 and 1454, Representative Garcia.
Sorry, on 1451 and 1452, no vote.
So ordered. 1, Representative Perrick.
No vote.
So ordered. On 1453 and 1454. 1455 and 1456. Next page. 1457, Representative Perrick.
In opposition.
Proceed.
From my understanding, this bill would encourage basically the continued legalization of medical abortion. And I believe that this process is usually done 10 weeks or before during the pregnancy. I sent out a survey to my constituents, and they replied, and these are the survey results with regards to a bill like this. The question was, at what point do you feel the law should allow abortion? There's many options they could choose from. The first was, I don't support abortion, which was 42% of my constituents replied with that answer. The next reply was the heartbeat, 6 weeks, 18.5% replied for that one. The next option is end of the first trimester, or 12 weeks, 17.8% replied with that one. Vitality of the baby, 22 weeks, which was 9.5% of my constituents who participated in the survey replied to that answer. End of the second trimester, or 26 weeks, 3.6 people, or 3.6% of the people who filled out their survey replied to that one. And the last option was up to birth, so 8.2%. So this bill would be 10 weeks or less for chemical abortions. If we combine do not support abortion replies to heartbeat replies of 6 weeks, that's 60%. So a majority of my constituents don't support this bill. I'm voting no.
Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Kong.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Same request.
So ordered. Members will be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Motion is carried. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Report numbers 1458-24 through 1466-24 as listed on pages 21 through 23, and that the accompanying Senate bills as amended pass second reading and be placed on the calendar for third reading.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Any discussion on StanCom Report 1458? Representative Garcia.
In opposition?
Proceed.
This bill, SB 2333, House Draft 1, allows the chief election officer to use accurate copies of paper ballots, not the actual paper ballots, but copies of paper ballots, rather than the originals when conducting a precinct audit. Mr. Speaker, the precinct audits is not that hard to do. We as taxpayers pay with our tax dollars the Office of Elections to conduct elections. And with audits, this is simply a transparency issue, and there should always be paper records, always be paper ballots to go back to verify that the vote count that's projected by those machines are accurate. So this is a bill moving forward in a wrong direction, and in times when there's such low approval of this body and lack of trust of this body, we should be moving towards transparency and not the other way. No vote.
Representative Ward.
Speaker, may the comments of the former speaker be entered into the journal as my own, and with a brief comment, we need to fund the election officer more because it's the role.
So ordered. Proceed.
It's the election rolls with so many dead people on it. I even introduced a bill that says as soon as somebody dies, there should be a death certificate sent to the Office of Elections. Because they say when we ask them in a hearing, why aren't you guys doing this?
Opposition.
Sorry?
Opposition.
Yes, opposition, sorry. They said, we don't have the money, we don't have the manpower. So if that's their reason why they want to do electronic copy, let's give them the money and the manpower. There's a lot of, as you know, nationally, et cetera. We shouldn't be suspecting a democracy 200 years old saying, hey, you guys don't know how to run an election yet. When I was in USAID, as I said earlier, in the Office of Democracy and Governance, we were actually doing validated elections on the internet. I know that sends shudders to some people in the state, but they were highly monitored. And you know, if Osama bin Laden can script something we can't read, we did elections scripted so well nobody could break into them. So, but the point is, we're not ready for that, and for what the gentleman just said, we should have hard copies. It's not rocket science, it's common sense, and if people want more confidence, that's the way it should be, and this bill is not the way to go. Thank you.
Representative Matsumoto.
With reservations
So ordered.
and permission to insert comments into the journal.
So ordered. Representative Akos.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Perrick.
No vote.
So ordered. SCR 1459, 1460, next page, 1461, 1462, 1463, 1464, next page, 1465, Representative Souza.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Kong.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Lamasao.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Perrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Kila.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Akos.
Reservations.
So ordered. 1466. Representative Perrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
Same request.
So ordered. Members will be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Motion is carried. Item 7, announcements. Representative Ichiyama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just wanted to remind members, immediately following House floor session, we will have our Women's Legislative Caucus Easter Basket Drive right here in the rotunda in front of the Father Damien statue. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
Representative Matsumoto.
Mr. Speaker, may I be permitted a late introduction?
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. With the Easter Basket Drive, we have 5 different organizations who will be receiving those bags, and so if I can recognize, we have people from Mohala Mai. If you can please stand and be recognized. We also have members from Domestic Violence Action Center. We have IHS, Unpacked, and then we also have Salvation Army. If we can give them a round of applause and welcome them to your House of Representatives. And Mr. Speaker, if I can have their names inserted into the journal.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow we will be celebrating. It's Manufacturing Day, so out on the 4th floor rotunda, we'll be having up to 40 businesses coming representing our manufacturing industry. If we can all come and join, take a look. Thank you.
All right, members. No further announcements. The chair would like to remind the committee chairs that today is the lateral filing deadline for the House concurrent resolutions that need to move to their final committees. Please file your committee reports and drafts with the Chief Clerk's office by 6 p.m. this evening. Again, that's 6 p.m. this evening. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 12 o'clock noon tomorrow.
Representative Garcia.
Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. The House stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.